I moved to this area by accident. I was 23, a new job, a new life, a new state. The suburbs looked perfect, even lawns, white fences, identical houses, like from insurance companies' advertisements. The silence here was almost artificial, the kind that rings in your ears if you are used to the city. I found the house quickly. Cheap, neat, a little old, but after repair. The landlord said the previous owners moved closer to the children. I didn't ask. The only thing that seemed strange was the ventilation grills. They were everywhere, bigger than usual. In the floor, on the walls, even in the corridor by the stairs. Old houses, said the agent. It's common here. I believed. At first, everything was fine. The first week, boxes, pizza, new work, fatigue. I came home, fell on the couch and fell asleep to the sound of the TV. Nothing unusual. And then I started to hear sounds. At first, barely noticeable. It's like the air goes through the pipes. A rustle, creak. Sometimes, a soft tap, as if someone is walking in shoes on a soft floor. I wrote it off at the old house. But one day the sound was different, as if someone was breathing. I woke up at 3 in the morning. The darkness was thick, sticky. I lay motionless, because my heart was beating so loudly that it seemed to be heard throughout the house. And then I heard it again. A quiet, uneven breath. From the ventilation near the bed. I got up, turned on the light. Everything has calmed down. I laughed at myself, standing barefoot in the middle of the room. Old house. Pipes. My fantasy. But the next night, the sound returned. And the next one. Every time he got closer. I bought a camera. Not because of fear. Out of curiosity. I worked with technology, so it was easy to install a home surveillance system. Small black cameras with night mode. I put one in the hallway, one in the kitchen, one in the bedroom, and one is opposite the large ventilation grill in the living room. I don't know why. I just felt what I needed to do. The first night I looked through the records before going to bed. Nothing. Empty rooms, flashing LEDs, shadows from trees outside the window. I was already turning off the laptop when I saw it. Recorded at 2:47. The camera is in the living room. At first, nothing. Then something changes in the dark. Barely noticeable. Like the noise on an old TV. I rewinded. And then I saw. The ventilation grill trembled a little, as if something had touched her from the inside. I watched the recording 10 times. Frame by frame. Increased. Illuminated. The grill was moving. From the inside. The next day I talked to my neighbor. He lived across the street. A grey, calm man who watered the lawn every morning at the same time. Listen, I started. Is there a basement in the house here? He stopped watering. And he looked at me as if I had said something wrong. It was, he replied. Once. What does it mean? He was silent for a long time. Then I turned off the hose. It was closed. Years. 10 years ago. Maybe more. Why? He shrugged his shoulders. Problems with structure. Moisture. Cracks. It was brewed. Have you brewed it? Metal. Forever. I felt something cold crawling in my back. I mean, there is no more basement? He looked me straight in the eyes. No access. It didn't sound like it should. I couldn't sleep that night. The house seemed alien. Every squeak sounded louder. Each shadow looked longer. And then I heard it. Whisper. I sat on the bed, and the blood froze. Because I heard my name. Quiet. Hoarse. As if the voice passed through the dust. Sash. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Sash. From ventilation. I slowly stood up and came closer. The darkness in the hole was unnatural. More thick than just the lack of light. Who's there? I whispered. And immediately regretted. Because the whisper stopped. And for a second there was absolute silence. And then something inside the ventilation slowly scratched the metal. The next day I looked at the recordings. At 3:12, the camera in the bedroom recorded the sound. Night mode turned on automatically. I watched and felt my hands get cold. Because when I approached the ventilation, in the dark, something was moving inside. Not fast. Slowly. As if someone had moved deeper. I decided to find the basement. The logic was simple. If there is ventilation, it leads somewhere. I walked around the house with a flashlight. Backyard, foundation, old concrete slabs. And I found it. A small metal door at the base of the house, painted to match the color of the wall. Almost invisible. They were brewed. Thick seams of metal on the edges. But there were scratches on them. Fresh. As if someone was trying to get out. From the inside. I began to hear him more often. At first, only at night. Then in the evening. And then one day in the afternoon. I was standing in the kitchen when I heard something moving in the ventilation. It doesn't rustle. Steps. Slow, dragging. And a whisper. "You're at home." I dropped the cup. It broke, but I didn't feel anything. No sound, no pain. Only this voice. "I hear you." I ran out of the house. I stood on the street for 10 minutes, no less. Breathed cold air until his hands stopped shaking. And then I realized something. Cameras. If it's real, they'll show it. If not, I'm going crazy. That night I left the light on and watched the live recordings. All cameras on the same screen. Corridor. Kitchen. Living room. Bedroom. 231. Nothing. 246 is nothing. 247. The screen in the living room blinked, and the ventilation grill slowly bent outwards. I stopped breathing. The metal creaked, but the sound was dull on the recording, as if the camera couldn't convey it correctly. The grill bent again, and there was darkness between the rods, deeper than the night. I leaned closer to the monitor. Then I saw my fingers. Long. Pale. They slowly slipped through the holes, like rubber. I pulled away from the screen, but I didn't turn it off. Because I couldn't. Fingers moved. We were looking for something. Touched the air. And then they stopped. And one of them slowly knocked on the camera. Took. 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 As if he knew what I was watching. I don't remember how I fell asleep. I just remember waking up on the floor. The screen was black. The light is off. And there was silence in the house. Wrong. I stood up. I realized that something had changed. Because the ventilation grill in the living room was open. She was lying on the floor. And the hole was black. And open. I stood for a long time. Maybe a minute. Maybe an hour. I thought only of one thing. If it got out. So where is it now? At this moment, the floor in the corridor creaked softly. I didn't come back. I couldn't. Because I already knew. I'm not alone in this house anymore. I looked around slowly. The corridor was empty. But the bedroom door was open. I remembered closing them. It was dark inside. I took a step. And he heard a whisper. Right behind the back. I found a way out. My heart stopped. Thank you. For opening. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. And then cold fingers slowly touched my neck. I don't know how I survived. Probably instinct. I rushed forward, knocked out the front door with my shoulder and ran out into the street barefoot. I ran until my lungs started to burn. Until the house disappeared around the corner. I didn't come back. Never. The police found nothing. I said I heard someone in the walls. That there can be a homeless man in the basement. They opened that brewed door. There was an empty basement inside. Raw concrete. Old pipes. Dust. No signs of life. You must be overworked, said the officer. I didn't answer anything. Because I knew the truth. I saw the recording. I moved to another city. Another apartment. New floor. No basements. No ventilation grills in the floor. I threw away the cameras. Almost everyone. I left one. I don't know why. Maybe to prove to myself that everything was real. I haven't looked through the records for a long time. Months. Until one evening I was so drunk that I dared. I opened the file. The last entry. The one I've never seen. The date is the night before my escape. Camera in the bedroom. The recording began in the dark. I was lying on the bed. Slept. And at first there was nothing. And then the door slowly opened. And someone came in. It was thin. Unnaturally long. His skin was pale as ashes. And the face. I stopped the video. because I realized something more terrible than anything else. He had no face. Only darkness. Deep. Alive. I was about to close the file when I noticed something else. It didn't look at me. He was looking at the camera. It's like I knew I'd see it someday. And then he tilted his head. And whispered. Even without a mouth. I read it from the movement of darkness. Remember, you. I turned off the laptop. Deleted the file. I threw away the camera. But sometimes at night, when the apartment is quiet, I can hear the air going through the ventilation. And it seems to me that sometimes it whispers my name, not from the basement, and closer, from the walls. And I'm not sure anymore that it stayed in that house.